There we are. We're live. I'll hit the music then.
Let's do it. Hello and welcome everybody to a live edition of the Twins Off Daily podcast. How's it going, Twins territory? I am your host, Sweet Lou Hennessy, gathered here with my dear friend Gregory T. Masterson. What's going on, Greg?
It's a beautiful day. The Twins are not playing. That means that the Twins can't lose. Good gracious. What a beautiful day.
Full hearts, clear eyes, can't lose, right? Is that the phrase? I don't know.
Yes. Shout out Coach Eric Taylor.
Good. Glad we squeezed him in here. Once again, thanks everybody for joining the Twins Off Daily podcast here. We try to come at you every off day with an episode. And every once in a while, you're lucky enough to see our beautiful mugs, or at least mine. You kind of see Greg's there. Greg, I just realized it's been like 3 weeks since we chatted with you, my friend. What's going on?
I mean, nothing at all. There's nothing of note in Ol Gregg's life worth sharing on a podcast. So,
okay.
I think we should talk about something super encouraging, and that's the Minnesota Twins.
Oh, yes. Everybody's favorite topic right now. It's been a pretty eventful couple of weeks, I guess you could say, for those sickos who are still watching here. But how about this? Every episode on the Twins Off Daily podcast, we try to have a walk-off question where we ask the question at the beginning of the episode, and then we come back around at the end to give our answers. And it's actually really fun to be able to do this live right now because folks that are watching are able to send us their ideas as well. So if something crosses your mind for today's walk-off question, please, by all means, send us your answer and we'll probably read it aloud here. But the question today is, the Twins played in Toronto last night, or was it 2 nights ago, that at Rogers Center? 2 nights ago, Rogers Center set the record for most hot dogs eaten in one event. I'm pretty sure it was something like 93,000 hot dogs, and they had a counter going the whole game. That average, I think that they had like 42,000. I can't remember how many people they had, but they had a lot of people there, and it was like everybody averaged 2.3 hot dogs eaten or something like that. So the walk-off question we have is, what should we do to get back at Canada? I mean, hot dogs are a pretty American food, I like to think, and the Canadians up there north of the border just stole our thunder in setting this record for most hot dogs eaten. What food record can we get, to kind of get back at them? So think of your answers. Send us some if you have some cross your mind, and we'll let you know what we're thinking down the road here. Before we keep moving, Greg, what did you think about the hot dog thing in Toronto?
I think that that's a gross, gluttonous practice that they've got going on there. However, I have no choice but to respect it. So shout out the people in Toronto. I didn't think that those commies had it in them to eat some real American hot dogs like that. I wish Cody was here to defend his people, those weirdos up in Canada. But shout out the Canadians putting the Americans to shame. I'm sure that Minnesota fans would be miserable at it because, like everything, they're all quitters. They probably eat, you've got to get to 2.5 hot dogs per person. Well, actually, no, because there's like 12,000 fans at Minnesota's ballpark right now. So you'd probably have to eat 8 hot dogs per person, but I don't think that they'd make it to 2. They'd get halfway through the first one and then start complaining about how Gary Anderson missed a kick. So what's the point of ever trying to eat all of these hot dogs? Minnesotans would never, ever put on the show that Toronto fans did.
Can you blame them though? I mean, bringing up such unpleasant memories really makes you lose your appetite, right?
Unpleasant memories? You mean like the time that Tom Kelly came out to scold them for chucking hot dogs at Chuck Knobloch?
Chuck.
Honestly, of all of the interactions that Tom Kelly ever had with people, of all the things that Tom Kelly ever did, for some reason, that is my lasting impression and memory of Tom Kelly, just coming out to wag his fingers at the fans in left field. Just the ultimate school marm energy. Shout out Tom Kelly. You wag that finger at those fans.
You wag that finger. Absolutely, young man.
And it couldn't have happened to a nicer person than Chuck Knobloch, of course.
Ooh, I don't know about that. Anyway, how about this? Let's talk about the last couple weeks since our last episode. We're going to jump on down into our rapid recap. Okay, so our last episode was a few weeks ago. It was me and friend of the show, Theo Tollefson, and we were picking up the energy here on the Twins Off Daily podcast. The Twins that immediately got sucked into the stratosphere because they got swept by the lowly West Sacramento Athletics. That was a tough series. After that, they went on to play the Chicago White Sox, where they went 1-2. Somehow seemed like a tougher series, and they just finished going 1-2 against the Toronto Blue Jays. All right, Greg, let's talk about it. Who's hot? Who's not? Who caught our eye? What are your initial impressions from the last 9 games of Minnesota Twins baseball?
Yeah, I mean, this is, I want to say, like, from a bird's eye view, I was excited as, at the beginning of this month. It seemed like guys were kind of understanding that a lot of them are playing for their jobs right now.
Sure.
Frankly, the games don't really count all that much, except for, trying to figure out like where your team is at going into next year. Which of these guys, whether we're talking about hitters, whether we're talking about the starting rotation or the bullpen, whatever, there are so many guys who don't have jobs locked in next year. And so, they're fighting for their lives a little bit right now. And there was a lot, I don't know. It's hard to say, that they are playing uninspired baseball or whatever when they're just losing. Like if you're losing, it's always going to look ugly.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like the energy that you felt like at the beginning of this month has completely sapped from the team. It feels like, from an outsider's perspective, and you just see like a lot of, I don't know, mistakes and kind of brain farts that it's like, guys, you do know, like if you don't play well right now, you're just like not going to be on the team next year. You're not going to probably be traded somewhere where they want, like, you're just going to be a free agent with like a year and a half of service time. So that's been a little bit disappointing. I do want to give a shout out to like Brooks Lee and Luke Keeschel, middle infielders there. Both of those guys are putting on at least, an air of dependability, respectability, good performance. As you're kind of looking at like what guys are you okay penciling in next year? Byron Buxton and Matt Wallner, I feel like are pretty good locks. Lee and Keeschel have been really impressive. Like Lee has not been like out of this world, but he's making them count a little bit more. His success does not. We were joking on this show a few months back about how he had the most 1-for-4 20-game hit streak imaginable.
Yep.
He's actually, hitting the ball with authority. He's making better swing decisions. That's been really encouraging. But beyond those two, there's not like a ton of guys who are like making a great case to be on this team next year.
Sure. Bringing up Brooks Lee, that's perfect, because when I was talking with Theo a couple weeks ago, I was kind of under the impression that Brooks Lee being thrust into the starting shortstop job on August 1st after Carlos Correa was traded away was the last thing that he needed. I thought he was looking so lost at the plate and just, exhausted. And I've been proven wrong. In the last couple of weeks, he's really started to turn it on. His defense has always been, pretty rock solid. And now he's actually coming alive with the bat, which has been super encouraging, because he's like probably the most pivotal player on their roster. At least out of the question marks, you got to think, right?
Well, yeah. And I mean, if you're just looking ahead to next year, he is your shortstop. Like, whatever your idea of Kalen Culpepper is, like opening day, Brooks Lee is your shortstop more likely than not.
Sure.
And so, yeah, I mean, if you feel just like you can stomach Brooks Lee at shortstop on opening day, that changes a whole lot of your offseason. I don't know, like shortstops don't grow on trees. And if it's not Brooks Lee, I don't know who that is. I don't know if that's, you have to pay a bunch of money in free agency. I'm not 100% sure like who the options are, like IKF over the offseason or something like that.
No.
Twins legend.
Yeah.
So I think that Brooks Lee, like his ability to just be like a usable major league starter would be so big. I don't know that he's a shortstop long term. I don't know if he's like more of a utility infielder as time progresses. I don't know. But oh my gosh, if he's actually able to be like a respectable shortstop, that would be so big for this team in the next couple of years.
Are there any still kind of lingering, gaping hole question marks that you have? I mean, obviously there's a lot that's going to be, discovered, especially as we head into the off season and everything. But just as it pertains to the last couple of weeks, is there anybody that you're like, man, I wish you were winning me over just a little bit more right now? This is a good time for you to really prove yourself, and you've kind of fallen flat.
I don't know. I think I don't know why Alan Roden has almost become like a folk hero among Twins fans. But I was hoping to be won over by him like a little bit. Obviously the injury gets in the way of that. Yeah. I wouldn't call myself a James Outman believer, but I am intrigued by James Outman. Royce Lewis, I don't know, man. I don't know what to think of the guy at this point. He's definitely been making better contact, yada yada, but he is just not put together like a week or two where you can get super excited about him. I think that he's your opening day third baseman no matter what. I don't know who takes his job on this godforsaken roster.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you have a guy in mind that you're like, gosh dang it, I wish I could see more from this guy?
I think you bringing up Royce Lewis, I don't know, man. I think we might have to pull the trigger here on our newest segment. What do you think?
Our newest segment. Let's roll this. So we are introducing a new segment today, and that segment is Royce Says the Darndest Things. We had to find some new segment after we lost our Is Chris Paddock Still a Twin segment. Royce Lewis, great at sticking his foot in his mouth.
Yes.
And we might be jumping on this a little bit late, but we have not really been, we have not met since the last time. And let me remove the bar there. Since the last time we've spoken, Royce Lewis has went and put his foot in his mouth. I'll read a quote for you here. It's also hard to make that full in-season adjustment because you can try that, and those 30 games or at-bats of trial go to your stats. Do you really want to sacrifice that? And if it doesn't work, then do you go back to what you were doing before? It's always hard. I know Michael Harris II just did a significant change, but being under contract probably helps because he knows he's making this. He knows what he's making that year and the year after. For someone like me, I'm fighting to take care of myself and my family. I don't want to put any of those stats in jeopardy. I'm just trying to do what's best as fast as possible. But feeling like I've been on an island, that's kind of tough. So Royce opened up to Dan Hayes about how to put it, I guess, let's put this the most charitable way before we laugh about it.
Sure.
Royce basically said that because he's not, his pay over the next few years in arbitration, his next contract is going to depend on his stats. He's a little bit nervous about taking coaching from Twins coaches that might influence his stats, his counting stats, his rate stats, and might influence his long-term money-making potential. Lou, how are we doing with what we heard from our friend Royce?
I guess, what is the insight that he's trying to provide here? He wants to protect his 657 OPS and like 8 home runs that he has here. Is that really gonna, give him that much of a boost in arbitration in his mind? It's a baffling quote to me. I think it's pretty tone deaf. It's close to being understandable though. You know what I mean? Like if he wanted to say, hey, we've had a lot of cooks in the kitchen the last few years. I'm not sure which advice I should take and which I shouldn't. And I'm navigating that. That's understandable to me. You know what I mean? Like that would be justified, but to bring it to the arbitration case and to Michael Harris, just one other player who made a significant change. Literally, the game is built on the players who can make adjustments and who can make those counter adjustments when the league catches up to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I mean, it's a quote that kind of falls on deaf ears after like the last 365 days from
Yeah,
Royce Lewis, where it's like obviously we don't know this stuff. It's Plato's cave. We're seeing shadows on the wall, whatever. I try not to read into like the true meaning of quotes,
sure.
but like I don't know. It's easy to envision a world where they're like, Royce, you've got to change this. This is why you're not playing well. And he's like, I don't know. I don't want to risk that. It's like,
Yeah,
what's the alternative? And obviously, like this quote does not hit as hard or get the same amount of ridicule as it did this time, because this is like the third or fourth time that Royce has said something just goofy as heck,
silly. Yeah,
just like about how much he's getting paid, like that. Like Royce says just silly things all the time, like that's kind of how he is. But like this is the third time it's like, okay, this is something that he's thinking about a lot. The biggest one obviously was last September, when he had some coded complaints through the media, probably about Carlos Correa, but the way that he stated it was, something akin to, I didn't realize that also the poorly paid players also had to go out and lead the team. I didn't know it was just the cheap guys. It's just, dude, can somebody just sign him to a guaranteed deal so we don't have to deal with this anymore?
Goodness gracious. Yeah, no, it's I mean, correct. Yeah, we can throw this up here too. Nate Palmer in the chat says real rough when he's already made like $12 million and largely failed. That's true. I don't think Royce is having that much trouble, putting food on the table for his family here. Speaking of, Royce, I think is pretty public in the fact that his sister is his stylist. And I don't know, when I read this comment, I was like, man, does he have a brother that can like be his PR manager or something? Because these are not good. This is not good messaging coming from somebody who can really be the cornerstone of this organization if he turns things around. And I don't know, man, it's pretty baffling. And boy, he just says the darndest things.
Yeah, I guess the last one, and I don't want to like bury Royce over this or whatever. Like I find it funny beyond everything else. But I don't know, man. If we're talking about like the tone deafness and thinking about like what Nate said here, he made $7 million and a signing bonus. That's a lot more money than his teammates.
Yeah.
Almost all of his teammates in that room made as a signing bonus. I'm sure that that's also a little bit grating from hearing from a teammate. So Royce.
I would love nothing more than for Royce to just return to the guy that he was a year ago, and to really just stop talking so much. Talk with the bat a little more is kind of what I'm hoping for. Give him lots of credit for the adjustments that he has put in. You know what I mean? I think everybody would acknowledge that he himself, especially in the minor leagues, he did have to make some adjustments to, mechanically to his swing, especially. And we've seen the adjustments that he's made in the field too. So I don't know, Rice. It's pretty baffling because, like I said, he deserves a lot of credit already, and hopefully he keeps making those adjustments. But like you said, we don't want to hound on him too much. We just thought it would be a good topic to bring up for the time being here.
I can't wait until our next episode or our next edition of Royce Says the Darndest Things.
Yeah, honestly, can't wait to hear what he says next. It's must see TV.
He's the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah, absolutely is. Absolutely. Okay, how about this? Any other thoughts you have on the Twins over the last couple of weeks here? Otherwise, we can move on over to our mailbag segment.
I guess we have not talked about on air the concept of a Norman Bugbury game.
Okay.
So I just wanted to throw this out there. This is the game. This is my ideal game for the Twins right now. Your starting pitchers who are generally going to be on the team next year. The Twins have 8 of them. Like they're not going to be starting a ton of guys who are not going to be in the picture next year, but unless they get traded. But ideally, what the Twins do is they lose 2 out of every 3 games from here on out. Their starting pitchers all are great. The lineup scores 6 runs, and a 37-year-old reliever named Norman Bugbury, who was claimed from the Cubs last week, comes in and gives up 7 runs in the 7th inning. Like that's that's what I want. We have had one Norman Bugbury game. Sadly, it's been a full month and we've only gotten one of them. It's kind of devastating because the Twins are like, they've been just ugly. But shout out Genesis Cabrera. He is the first winner of the Norman Bugbury game award. So I just wanted to throw that out there online.
No, that's good. That's a good plan, like you said, of losing a ton of games, but like figuring out a lot of winning pieces somehow in all those losses. Especially when it comes to the rotation and the glut of outfielders that they're going to be having out there. It'd be nice to get some answers while they're getting these losses and tanking for a top 5 pick in the draft next year. Where are they sitting right now? I think they're at like the 3rd best odds or something to get the number 1 pick.
The 3rd best odds. I think they're only a game and a half up or down, whichever way you want to say it, on the Pirates, who are in 2nd. I'm pulling up Tankathon. If you guys find Tankathon, it is a perfect, like, it has all of the loopholes, it has all of the rules preloaded into it. It gives you a standings for who is leading the league or whatever, the worst teams in the league based on the MLB draft. So the Twins right now they're no longer tied for 3rd. Baltimore lost today, it looks like. And so they are a half game back on 3rd, 2 games back on Pittsburgh.
Okay. All right.
For the 2nd spot. There is a kind of cluster of teams there are 3 more teams that are within 2 games of the Twins right now. I don't know, maybe like if they could just like tank for a while and then maybe do some winning toward the end of the season and still settle into that 2nd or 3rd best odds, that'd be awesome. But it's also getting a little cute.
Yeah, no, that's
it's hard to balance this as a fan,
Yep. Fair enough. All right, man. How about this? The people want the mailbag, I think. So let's do the mailbag. We're gonna boogie on down, and we are going to go to the mailbag. We got some listener submissions here, and actually, the first one comes from Jay Bonus, who says, "Where do you get off stealing my bit?" Okay, don't know who that could be from, but we will proceed anyway. Greg, you want to go into the other mailbag questions?
Is there a bit that we've stolen from John?
Jay? I don't know. I don't know if it's John. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what he could be talking about anyway.
I don't either. Anyway, back to the mailbag.
Let's start with TJ the Twins guy, Tyler Hartman, who is a MLB fan council member alongside yours truly. For some reason, I don't know if I'm at liberty to share this, but for some reason, his main comments to MLB so far has been, "We need merch." He just keeps asking for some sort of merch. So shout out TJ, your priorities are in the right spot. So he says, "I need a player-by-player rundown of everyone who's on the current roster, who you believe will actually be on this team in this organization in 2026. This includes guys who will be cut, traded away, etc." I feel like this is probably something that we can do a full episode on later in the season, kind of a check-in.
Sure.
But Lou, give me your top 3 guys who are on the roster right now who are not going to be on the roster next year. Make one of them controversial.
Well, let's see. Our friend Sherry wanted to shoot Trevor Larnach off the face of the earth last season. She might have been ahead of the curve there. Trevor Larnach, perfectly good player, perfectly league average, but I think he's kind of stalling out here, and he's due a raise, and he's got some built-in replacements that are going to be cheaper and maybe with some higher upside, TBD on that. But at the very least, they will be cheaper and maybe a little bit more toolsy, a little bit more athletic out there. So I think Trevor Larnach's name is firmly on the hot seat as somebody who could go. But I don't know. Pass it off to you. Do you got somebody on your mind too, Greg? And of course, everybody watching and listening live here, feel free to send in a question to us. We'll try to get to all of them for those that are watching.
Yeah. I don't know. Trevor Larnach is the real, obvious one, I think. And we have a question on that we'll get to right after this. I mean, obviously you're going to see like guys like Genesis Cabrera and, Brooks Kriske. Sorry. Every time I see Brooks Kriske, I think of David Riskey, the reliever for, I think it was the Cleveland team in the mid 2000s. Terrible name for a reliever.
Risky.
I don't know. I don't think Mickey Gasper is long for this world.
This world.
This org. Oh no, sorry, Mickey. I don't know. What if Mickey like develops into like a decent catcher down the stretch and he's just like your backup catcher? I don't know. I feel like that's something that has been kicking around forever.
Yeah.
I don't know.
How about this?
Edouard Julien. I think Edouard Julien is going to be in another organization next year.
Could be. That very well could be. How about this for a dark horse? What about Cody Clemens maybe being on the out somehow? Where both in terms of just if they find somebody that they like more to play first base, or they have an answer at second base right now in Keishel, maybe another team values him a little bit more than the Twins are. I don't know. Maybe Cody Clemens, maybe being a dark horse for somebody to be cut or traded away. Could be.
I feel like one of Cody Clemens and Edouard Julien are going to be on the team next year as like at minimum, like your 10th or 11th guy who can play a couple of positions. I don't know whatever happened to Edouard Julien playing left field, but it would sure be nice if he could. That gives Cody the leg up on him. Honestly, actually, here's another controversial one potentially. I think Simeon Woods Richardson might be out of the organization opening day next year. As you like kind of try to sort out the starting rotation, it's not really clear how Sim fits in. And I don't really see him like having the mix or the profile of a reliever. I don't like it. Right. It's totally possible, but he does not scream reliever. And he's out of options. So I feel like that's another one that's not super obvious to keep an eye on.
Being out of options is huge there for sure.
Yeah.
And like you said, I don't necessarily see him projecting with stuff being built up as a reliever necessarily. Who knows? I'm not sure if I would have said that about guys like Cole Sands and Griffin Jacks in the past, and they ended up transitioning quite nicely into the bullpen role. But there's other guys in that glut of starting rotation options that I think would be very, very good relievers if they were to transition over, whether that's due to just their given pitch repertoires or, the just pure jump in velocity that they would get. Guys like David Festa comes to mind. I think you actually wrote something recently for Twins.
I did. I don't know if it was an advocating for David Festa to become a reliever, or if it was more of just like hey dude, this profile screams reliever. They have such a logjam and they don't have any relievers. It's probably worth discussing if he's just like a fastball slider pitcher.
Yeah. Something to think about though, for sure. Okay, so there's some good options for guys that could be change of scenery. It's easy to say, well, Pablo Lopez and Joe Ryan are certain to be traded. First of all, I don't consider it as much of a certainty as other people are, consider it to be. But I don't know. Where do you feel on those two guys?
So going into this year, I was on the record saying I think that this is the last year that all three, not like all three would be moved, but one of the three of Lopez, Ryan, and Ober would be gone, just because you've got some starting pitchers coming up behind them. They're all going to be like not expensive, but like they're going to start making real money. It's a very kind of smart baseball move to move one of your starting pitchers when he hits 30, because they're all 29, 30 right now.
Yep.
They're all, in theory, sell high guys. Obviously that hasn't been what it shook out to be, but I was pretty confident that one of them was going to get traded. I don't know that that's the case anymore now that we don't know what Ober is.
Right.
But I absolutely could see them trading both for baseball reasons and for money reasons, cheap Polat and all that. So Composite Twins asks, do you think we'll continue to see the Twins pitchers on the 4-day schedule at the MLB level in the future? So they've been running this they've done it with Pearson Ol. They've done it with Travis Adams. They've, I think, kind of done it with Hatch. Has sort of been in a role like that, like give or take. How do you feel about this newfangled strategy?
I don't think there would have been as much of an emphasis on it over the last month had they had, 5 traditional starting options for that
Mhm.
whole time. I think that was more due to what they had in place in their healthy options. And I think that if there's reasonable good health going into next season, I don't consider it to be a real strategy that they'll use, especially because it just like hasn't worked that well at the big league level. And it was even questionable at AAA, I would say, for a few of those guys.
I mean, I think it's a fine strategy in the minor leagues to just make sure that like you don't want to exclude basically a guy who you think could be a starter just because you have too many guys in your rotation or whatever. Like,
Sure.
I think it's totally fine to have 7 starter prospects at a level and find a way to make sure that they're all getting their innings. I don't know. I feel like it's a strategy that's kind of doomed to fail when you're running out guys like Travis Adams and Pearson Ol in the role. I don't know how well it can work if you're trying to win games. If you're like mapping out, okay, so then the fifth, sixth, and seventh inning are going to go to this guy.
Yeah.
However, I feel like there's a non-zero chance that if Simeon Woods Richardson is on the team next year, he is in a role like that. Like if you've got a full starting rotation and you don't have anywhere to put Sim, at least like in like March, April, May, I think it's possible that they try to do that and he's maybe your next man up, preventing the long reliever problem where you've got somebody who's not getting regular work. If you're actually scripting it in and you've got a player of Simeon Woods Richardson's caliber, who I'm not going to say is like some standout, even a mid-rotation starter, but he's definitely a more effective starter than somebody like Pearson Ol and Travis Adams.
Yeah.
I feel like if they are actually committed to this, we might see that as like their first kind of actual major leaguer, like that they're trying to roll it out with.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you think that that's insane?
No, you're kind of talking me into it a little bit. Also, we've only seen this with Pearson Ol and with Travis Adams. What if they try it with somebody with maybe a little more upside, somebody who can reasonably go, multiple innings? Pearson Ol, it seemed like he was pretty much only effective first time through the order, and after that, things really fell off. Innings 2, 3, 4. So, maybe we see it. I don't know who that could be. Marco Raya, or I don't know, some of these, maybe you would call them higher upside arms. Maybe they could be options for someone like that, in which case maybe we see some different results. But from what we've seen so far from this strategy, I think it left a lot to be desired, I would say.
Well, yeah. And I mean, we might have this conversation in a couple of weeks when the Twins have. I mean, I don't know if they are plan on sending Mick Abel down again. I don't know if they plan on sending Taj Bradley down again. But Pablo Lopez is coming back. David Festa is on a rehab stint. Are they just going to say, forget it? We're not gonna we're gonna shut down some pitchers. I don't know. But if they have all 8 of them are, so what? Lopez, Ryan, Over, Matthews, Festa, Woods, Richardson, Abel, Bradley. Like if that's 8 starting pitchers that they're trying to sort through before next year. I don't know. It's possible we see that maybe with one of the younger guys following one of the more established guys. Okay, sorry, my cat is.
She's got some thoughts. Got some thoughts on the rotation.
Okay, so Aiden, MV Prelip, over on Twitter, asks, who do you think is going to be the most likely option to be the opening day left fielder in 2026? I'm obligated to ask what the F is a left fielder. He sent in his picks, but I will let you answer the question first.
Oh boy, I'm just looking at the top free agent outfielders available. Kyle Tucker. No, it's I don't know. I think the betting favorite right now for a left fielder, I might go Alan Roden. Left-handed hitter. Chances are they're facing a righty in game 1. Who do they start the season off against? I know this schedule just came out. Maybe we could look that up. Anyway, I would probably put Alan Roden as the betting favorite right now, but I would love to be surprised with maybe one of their top prospects or something. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that the easy pick is Roden. I think that they seem committed to throwing him out there.
Yeah.
I don't think I think that there's almost no chance that they bring in an outfielder outside of the organization. I mean, they have too many left-handed outfielders, period. Right now, we're going to see at least probably one, like Trevor Larnach, he's going to be in a different organization. I think that that's pretty fair to say. But they do not have the space to try to add another outfielder, especially for the money and prospects that they're probably willing to give up before next year. So I say Roden. If I have like a dark horse, I think that there's a chance that like James Outman plays his way into being kind of like an everyday-ish left fielder, who will play some center when Buxton is out or sitting.
Yeah.
Depending on just how he finishes the year. I think that that's another one. It also could be Walker Jenkins. Who knows?
Opening day, well, maybe, and with the new incentives that they have for having a top prospect up on opening day, if they are to be, what is it, top 3 in Rookie of the Year, they get okay.
So I don't know. Maybe if Walker Jenkins has a really good 3 weeks at St. Paul, like that I think that that's a possibility. At which point, I don't know what happens to Alan Roden. I don't know if he's like a first baseman for them. He played some first baseman at Creighton. Yeah. I don't know what they do with Alan Roden if that's the case. Our friend Aiden said, personally, I think the most likely in-house option is Alan Roden. If it's external, I'd say Rob Refsnyder. Old friend. They really want that right-handed. I don't know, man. Like I could be talked into Rob Refsnyder if they are not going to use any of the internal right-handed options. But he also just threw out the idea, like, what if it's Wallner because Jenkins or Rodriguez are in right field? And I don't know. Like, I don't know how. If one of those guys are up, I don't know what happens to Wallner. I don't know if they say he's got a great arm, so he's going to be in right field, or if they say he's a bad defender, so he's going to be in left field.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of what would be the option that would infuriate Twins fans the most. I'm going to go with Joey Gallo after a year off and try to be a pitcher and then to come back and resign with the Twins and be
no, you know what would be hilarious? Is Royce Lewis left fielder. He did play some left field when he was getting ready to bounce around before his knee blew up for the second time. The fans would be irate. Royce Lewis would be irate. It would be amazing. Think of the quotes. We could play Royce says the darndest things every week of spring training because he'd find some new way to complain about playing left field.
The commentary would be legendary. That's for sure.
Legendary. Okay. So these last two, I don't know how well equipped we are to answer these last two, but
perfect.
Ry Lang, friend of the program. I think the limited partners are still going through the vetting process with MLB. Anyone have a sense on when those names will be released? Lou, you're the one with the press pass. What have we got?
Should I go see what I can whip up and on when I'm there on, let's see, my next game is Saturday. I'll be there. Just go knocking on some doors, be like, hey, any limited partners in here? You guys ready to? Yeah, no.
Ask every single person that you don't recognize in the tunnels underneath Target Field. You're like, excuse me, are you one of the new limited partners?
Yeah. There's been so much talk about these limited partners with just like so little information about them. You know, we heard one was an East Coast family and one was somebody in Minnesota. I don't know. That sounds awfully vague. It sounds, I don't know. My first thought was like, are the limited partners in the room with us now, Joe? Do you see them? You know what I mean? Like
it's actually just a Polad cousin. Like
yeah. It's a Polad
like cousin, not one of Carl's offspring, but
like a cardboard cutout or something. It's cardboard cutout of Eloise Polad is the new limited partner. I don't know, man. I have no information. I have no way of retrieving that information for you. Who's it? Rye sent that in.
Yeah.
But I imagine we'll hear soon after the season is done. maybe. I don't know. I think they're going to try to rebuild some of that. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah. If you want to put that comment up there.
Oh, yeah.
Cleopatra, get out of here.
Steve said, Bonus's wife is from the East Coast, ... That's true. That is very true. Maybe...
I did make a joke that like it would be awesome if the East Coast family was just a bunch of New York and Philly sports fans, because the worst type of Minnesota fans are the ones that think that the smartest people in sports are just fans from New York and Philly who tell it how it is and hold people accountable. What if the limited partner was just a group of Philly and New York sports fans who just came to yell at players and you know, open up the window in the owner's suite and scream obscenities at them.
You hear about like when I was at the Twins playoff series in 2019 against the Yankees, or just that one game, I guess, game 3. There's fans around us who traveled to see the Yankees play at Target Field because it was actually cheaper, including the airfare and the tickets at Target Field, than to just buy a playoff ticket at Yankee Stadium. So
in sports.
Maybe it's just a group of fans who are like, it's cheaper for us to just buy the Minnesota Twins instead of watch the Yankees at home.
No, it would be hilarious if you know, they're Philly fans, and so like it happened with the NFC Championship game. Like as Minnesota fans are like going into the stadium, the owners are throwing beer cans at them. You know?
Yeah.
Anyway,
Steve, thank you for sending that in. The premise of the bonuses being revealed as a limited partner for the Minnesota Twins sounds like a parody article that I would write when I just am fresh out of ideas and I just need to throw something out there. So thank you very much for the inspiration, Steve. We appreciate that.
Oh man. Okay. One last one that we got from Blue Sky from a user named Turtle Duck. Heck of a name. Turtle Duck. Why should I pay more to ESPN when we're easily going to be as terrible next season? Again, I don't know how much info we have on the ESPN, even if it's happening. Do you know anything, Lou, as a guy with a microphone?
I do not know anything as a guy with a microphone. I am disappointed by this development because it just sounds like it's going to be more barriers to people watching the Twins at a time when they need, you know what I mean? Like they're going to be hemorrhaging audience members anyway. So it's very tricky. I hope baseball can streamline it as much as possible, especially if they can find a way, you know, like they did this year, to just loop it right on into MLB TV, you know, right on the MLB app. I don't know how easy that's going to be, but I don't know. What do you think, Greg?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the difference is going to be with how much people have to pay. Like, I think that that's a huge question.
Yeah.
But in terms of why should I pay if the Twins are just going to be as bad? If you don't think it's going to be fun, don't pay. Like, I'm not going to sit up here and tell you to spend, I don't know if it's going to be $30 a month, whatever. I don't know. I guess if you every year around the NBA playoffs, I sit around and I say I wish I had ESPN because I have to. Have you ever used the ESPN app without paying for it, where you get like the alternate feeds? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes,
and
I do.
Got like the car sickness camera that's just sitting on top of the backboard of the. I watch those and it's just squeaking shoes and the most nauseating camera work I've ever seen in my life. But, you know, every year I say, I wish I had ESPN. I guess now if I'm going to have ESPN to watch Twins games, I'm going to be able to watch NBA playoffs. So there's your silver lining, I suppose.
Thank goodness baseball is still just very much accessible over the radio and, you know, streaming that way completely for free. And it still works very well as just a spoken word, you know, activity or just, you know, audio activity. So that might be where myself and a lot of folks go if they have to pay much more per month to see their team play.
Shoot. Most of the time when I don't know, probably about 50% of the time, I'm not actually watching the Twins. I have like their the TV broadcast up, but I'm listening to it in my pocket. So instead of listening to the radio,
Yeah.
I'm just like listening to Corey and Denard or whoever's in the booth that day. And I find that perfectly reasonable. If Paul Molitor's in the booth, I generally jump over to the radio, but otherwise I watch the TV broadcast in my pocket anyway. And it's only like half a step from there to be radio only. So if you don't want it, don't get it. No skin off our backs.
Exactly. You're not saving us anything there. Let's see. I have a couple other questions that were submitted here. Giuseppe asks, are the Twins City Connect jerseys cursed? They doing some research on this. The Twins are 104 and 121 since the debut of their City Connect jerseys on June 14th of last year. That's a 75 win pace. Hardly a curse at that point. You know what I mean? A 75 win pace is like bad, not good, but like not the end of the world too. You know what I mean? Like
7 loss, that's basically a 90 loss pace, which is basically 100 loss pace. Which, I mean, once you're losing 100 games, you're basically the Rockies and the White Sox, right?
And you're cursed. Yeah. Well, I don't know. The White Sox got over their curse, right? I don't know.
I mean, are the Rockies cursed, or are they just the Rockies?
They're just the Rockies, I think. I don't
so
think there's
it's not a curse. You can just be bad, without blaming like evil spirits.
Fair enough. And they can also switch up these jerseys too. I'm ready for that. I think they are too. I went to the Minnesota State Fair and the Twins booth had so much City Connect stuff that was 75% off. Granted, they were like Carlos Correa jerseys, Yohan Duran jerseys, Alex Kirilloff jerseys for $5. Greg, I almost got you an Alex Kirilloff City Connect jersey.
That would have been amazing, but no, they're stuck, I believe, for 2 or 3 more years.
Are they?
Yeah, because Nike does them in a cycle. The Twins were one of the last teams to get a City Connect,
right?
And immediately after them, they started renewing City Connects. So the Astros lost their Space City Connect, I believe.
Oh yeah, but the Red Sox have 2 currently, don't they?
Yeah, they do. I don't know how that works because unless
is it just because they only have one like primary home jersey that they wear?
So Nike restricts you to 5 jerseys. You get 4 jerseys and a City Connect, which is why the Mariners don't have a gray jersey. I don't know if people have recognized this, but the Mariners road jersey is navy. They don't have a gray jersey in their rotation anymore. The Phillies had to drop a jersey, which was devastating because they had some of the best jerseys. I think, though, that because Boston only has one alternate, the blue Boston jersey, or the blue, I think it's a Red Sox jersey.
Yeah.
I think they might be able to slide their old City Connect into their 4th slot, and then they have their 5th slot be their new City Connect. Which, listen, man, the Twins cream jerseys are a City Connect jersey. It's one of the biggest mistakes I think that they've ever made. I don't know, man. I'm sick of I was not really a fan of the City Connect jerseys to begin with, and I'm so sick of seeing them already. Even with the white pants, they're much better with the white pants, but I'm so sick of it.
Yeah, still. I think that's fair. And like I said, the vibes haven't been particularly good since they debuted them, and it's not like they've had like really super fun. They had the Ty France walk-off, I think, was a monumental game, but besides that, not a ton of memorable performances in them either. So maybe we just haven't had a chance to love them. Anyway, we are rambling here. We're going to move on to the next segment, which is everybody's favorite, and that is Gregory's Gripes. Okay, so with Gregory's Gripes, every week Greg has something grinding his gears. This is his chance to get it off his chest. Greg, the floor is yours.
All right. So I feel like I might have griped about this before because it's just a general annoyance of mine. So I want to say sorry, I just read a comment that's cracking me up. Sorry. Steve, Lou, you want to read this?
Yes, Steve sent in a comment. He says ESPN broadcast will be Tim Laudner and an AI version of Stuart Scott arguing the merits of platoons. Ooh.
Oh, I'm supposed to be in a bad mood for Gregory's Gripes, and this one just killed me. Okay, so I might have griped about this, so I have a backup gripe just to make sure that the people are content. And this might be contentious, but we weren't supposed to be in the water. We have evolved as human beings, like thousands, maybe millions. I don't know. I'm not a scientist, but we left the water a long time ago. We're not supposed to go back in. It is a disgusting practice to get back in the water. I know that the earth is like 75% water, and I know Minnesotans love their stupid lakes, but you are not supposed to be in the water. It is a degenerate activity to jump in the water, whether we're talking about an ocean, a river, or a lake. Like being on a boat, whatever. I was at a bachelor party up near Duluth a couple weeks ago, and ended up, at behest of the host, of the birthday boy, the wedding boy, the groom. That's what I'm talking about. We all got in the lake, and I hate it, man. There's seaweed everywhere. I'm afraid of fish. You can't reason with them. They might just touch you. There's leeches. When you're in the ocean, there are things that can kill you. We were not supposed to be in the water. I don't understand why people continue to get back into the water. We evolved to leave the water. The water is disgusting. We can have so much fun on land without getting into the fish's house. Like we have our own houses, and they're very far from the water because that's not where we're supposed to be. It's a middle finger to both God and Darwin to get back in the water. So I hate the water. I hate having to swim. I don't mind being out on a boat or whatever, but it's not right. We're humans, not fish.
I'm sure all of our fans listening in Minnesota are going to be fully in your corner with that one, Greg. Way to play to your audience.
And I think that I might have used that as a gripe before, but I just had to bring it up again. So in case I have done that as a gripe before, I have a more silly gripe. So, Donkey Kong, beloved mascot video game character. Yeah. Are you familiar with him, Lou?
Donkey Kong.
I don't know if you're a gamer or not.
Sure.
Donkey Kong is probably one of my favorite characters in gaming history. They redesigned him a few months back, and that got everybody all upset. He looks more like the ape from the original Donkey Kong game than like the rare games, the Donkey Kong Country and Donkey Kong 64 games. Okay. They redesigned him for those games in the 90s, and they're going back to more of like an ape-like appearance. And I don't like that. Everybody's upset, but it just reminded me. Do you know the character Cranky Kong, Lou?
I don't know that one.
He's the old monkey with the long beard.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He's related to Donkey Kong. And Nintendo also retconned his relationship to Donkey Kong. They are now saying that he's Donkey Kong's dad, which I don't appreciate. So Cranky Kong canonically was the original Donkey Kong who kidnapped Pauline and Mario had to go climb up the ladders and go get him, right? So he aged into being Cranky Kong, and then there's Donkey Kong. But there's also Donkey Kong Jr., star of the second game in the series, Donkey Kong Jr. And originally, Donkey Kong Jr. was actually Donkey Kong's dad. So Cranky Kong is Donkey Kong's grandfather. But now they've just kind of said that Donkey Kong Jr. is a child version of Donkey Kong. I'm so upset. So this is the second show in a row where we've just ranted about nerd stupid stuff. I listened to Theo's episode about Star Wars and how there's never been a lightsaber bat, even though I was like screaming at my phone listening to that. Like there's like a lightsaber bat in every team, Theo. What are we talking about?
Yeah. No, that's true. We need to improve our image here. We're coming off like a bunch of nerds, a bunch of gamer nerds here.
Well, can you dunk?
We're sports nerds. It's a totally different brand. Can I dunk?
Yeah.
You haven't seen me not dunk. Maybe I could. You don't know.
Well, you're the biggest nerd here if you can't dunk. So
yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I'm gonna go after this episode. I'm gonna go out in the back and practice my dunk. So here we go. Okay, Greg. Anything else you want to gripe about?
Nope. I got it all off my chest.
All right, sounds good. We are gonna move on down to our last segment, and that is the closer. Everybody. So the closer is a rotating group of games that we like to play here on the Twins Off Daily podcast. We're going into one that we haven't done in a while. We're doing an Immaculate Greg. Everybody aware of what an immaculate grid is. This one might be a little bit more fun for our viewing audience, but Greg and I will try our best to describe it for the audio only feed. Greg, you want to tell us a little bit about how we play Immaculate Greg?
Yeah, so we've got a 2x2 grid here. Like Immaculate Grid, there are categories along the left side and the top. And so we've got 4 squares based on those 4 categories where those lines intersect. So the 4 categories, the 4 types of players, these all have to be twins that we are trying to come up with. Our 4 categories are Philadelphia Phillies, because the Field of Dreams game was announced to be Philly and Minnesota. I'm not going to get in my Field of Dreams rant. You can listen to our 50th episode for a 2x speed version of that. Our second category is middle infielders. Our third category is Metrodome Darlings. And our fourth category is Great Trade Falvey. So the way that they intersect, we are looking for a Philly who was a Metrodome Darling, so played at the Metrodome, and a Philly who was a Great Trade Falvey. So basically anybody acquired in a trade. Maybe it's Falvey, maybe it's not. Maybe it was a great trade, maybe it wasn't. But they had to come to the Twins or leave the Twins in a trade. Another Metrodome Darling who was a middle infielder, and another Great Trade Falvey who was a middle infielder. We will we'll alternate picks. Lou, you get the first pick. Who are you going to throw out here?
Okay, so in the top left corner there, Philadelphia Philly, who is also a Metrodome Darling. He just made the cut. I'm going with my main man, Ben Revere. Ben Revere debuted in 2009. Okay, no, then it's not Ben Revere. Oh,
no,
he debuted in 2010.
Not a Metrodome Darling.
Oh, goodness, he is not. Okay, well then how about this? I'm going to put Ben Revere over in the Phillies and Great Trade Falvey, the top right corner.
There we go. Traded for Vance Worley and Trevor May.
They were my next 2 options to fill that quarter. So awesome.
Okay. I'm going to do a Metrodome Darling, and I'm not going to do the Metrodome Darling Philly crossover that everybody has in mind. But I will say his trade partner, Carlos Silva, is my Metrodome Darling and Philly.
That's a pretty fun one. I like that. Okay, where am I going to go with this next one? I'm going to go with a Metrodome Darling who was a middle infielder. I have 2 that I'd like to go with here, but the first one I'm going to say is Adam Everett. I remember the excitement. I want to say it was going into maybe like the 2008 season when the Twins brought in slick fielding Adam Everett and Mike Lamb at the hot corner. Ooh.
Oh man, those were some dark days, man. It's just like if they bring in any pro, like if they bring in any MLB veteran, like that was the biggest thing all year. Let's go with, I'm going to say Great Trade Falvey, middle infielder. We mentioned him earlier, but I'm going to say Isaiah Kiner Falefa is going to be my Great Trade Falvey middle infielder.
Oh, great times. It
looks like Steve is playing along in the comments.
Okay.
The listeners say Metrodome Darling middle infielder Denny Hawking. I think that's a good one.
Beautiful.
And I think that he's saying Vance Worley, Great Trade Falvey, Philadelphia. So
yep, absolutely.
The listeners are filling it up. If any other listeners want to throw anything out there, we can fill out a listeners grid and see who wins. Go.
That's opening day starter 2013 Vance Worley to you, Steve. Okay. Greg, I'm going to go for your same quadrant there on the bottom right of a middle infielder who was Great Trade Falvey. 2 came to mind here. One was Luis Castillo, and not the current pitching ace Luis Castillo, but the middle infielder, former Marlin, former Met. I had him, and then I also had, remember when the Twins traded Brian Dozier to the Los Angeles Dodgers, and it was like that was a destination for Dozier for that entire year. They were like, oh, we're going to get Jose De Leon. And you're going to send him, but just send it through. And instead they got Logan Forsythe and
Devin Smeltzer and Brooks Raley.
Yep. Here we go. Steve just said it. Logan Forsythe, second baseman extraordinaire in the last 6 weeks of the 2018 season or whatever that was.
There. So who's your pick then?
Let's go Luis Castillo.
Luis Castillo. Let's give Steve's Logan Forsythe.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I just realized a great Metrodome darling, Philly that I think was he. No, he wasn't. Great trade, Falvey Philly. I'm going to go. Let's do Eric Milton.
Eric Milton. Okay.
I'm just going to keep going back to that trade.
Okay. All right, that leaves me for my last pick, which is a Philadelphia Philly Metrodome darling, not Ben Revere, almost Ben Revere, but not Ben Revere. I think Revere was like the minor league player of the year for the Twins in 2008 and 2009. It didn't get called up. Anyway,
Yeah.
So top left, Philadelphia Philly, who was a Metrodome darling. This is a little bit out of the box. I'm going to go with Terry Ryan, former Twins general manager during a lot of those Metrodome years. He is now, I believe, an assistant GM or maybe just, some role in the Philadelphia Phillies front office. He still comes to a couple of Twins games every now and then and sits in the press box. I'm going to go with Mr. Terry Ryan as the Metrodome darling, who is also a Philadelphia Philly.
All right, and then my last one is Metrodome darling middle infielder, potentially the most darling middle infielder in Metrodome history. I'm going to go Al Newman. Legend. One
legend.
of 6 players to be on both World Series teams.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. He's still around too. I think he maybe coaches Northwoods League team, maybe, or like a collegiate wood bat league team. I can't remember, maybe. But I went to the 2014 All-Star game that was at Target Field, and I was sitting in one of those really tiny sections that's just like two or three rows that overhangs on the second level there. And Al Newman was in that section. So was Roy Smalley and Brad Radke, I believe, and a few other former Twins. So I just thought I had to flex on you there.
Okay, well.
Yeah, flex. All right. Well, that was a fun edition of Immaculate Greg. I hope people play along. Feel free to send us your submissions, dear listeners. But I think we should probably try to land this plane, dude. We are coming up on. We just passed the 1 hour mark.
Before we land this plane, I just want to say I can't believe that I because Delman Young was a Philadelphia Philly for a minute, wasn't he?
Was he?
I think so. I think that was one of his last stops. It might have been the team that gave him contract clause related to his weight. Yeah, he oh dear. Okay. So he signed with Philadelphia in 2013, it looks like.
Okay.
He played 80 games for them in 2013. How much did it was a $750,000 contract. So that was pretty close to the minimum at that time. His slash line as a Philadelphia Philly, a poor fielding Philadelphia Philly, was 261, 302, 397 for an OPS plus of 93. And he somehow managed to have -1 WAR during that season. So
you're kidding.
We can only imagine how his outfield defense was by that point in his career. Oh dear.
Anyway,
I can't believe I missed Delman Young. Anyway,
speaking of weight limits here, let's move on down to our walk-off question before we say goodbye. The question was, what eating record should Twins fans try to break at Target Field in response to the Toronto Blue Jays fans eating 93,000 hot dogs the other night, setting a record. Maybe something Canadian to try to rub it in their face, I guess. What would that be, like pancakes with maple syrup or something? We're not going to eat 93,000 pancakes. Poutine. Yeah, poutine could be an option. Maybe some like terrible Tim Hortons donuts or something. That's Canadian, right?
What do Canadians eat?
Yeah, Canadians, if there's any of you out there, please, what do you eat? We're worried about you. Poutine might be the one to go with. I think you might have nailed it there. 93,000 servings of poutine. That's a lot of gravy. That's a lot of gravy and a lot of oil.
I don't know. My thought process was I was trying to think of like what Minnesotans eat, what the local delicacy in Minnesota is.
Okay.
And I couldn't really think of any, like, do y'all eat like Nefla soup? Is that a thing in Minnesota?
Not that I know of. I guess I haven't heard of that.
What about like I don't know? There's a lot of Scandinavian culture, like lutefisk and lefse. Is that a thing out there?
That's a thing. God, that ballpark would smell terrible. It's already been smelling pretty bad the last couple of months, and lutefisk would absolutely not help. So I don't know.
Have you been standing over by the flagpoles again?
Yeah. I don't know. Hot dogs, maybe they should try to set the record. I don't think it's going to be in the next couple of years, though. But anyway, if you're listening to this, please let us know what we missed. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the subject. Greg, before we say goodbye, though, we should also mention that we are going to be trying a live stream on Sunday night. Time TBD, but you can probably expect somewhere around the 6 or 7 p.m. mark. We'll try to keep it relatively early so that people can hop in. This is going to be something that Twins Daily offers. We're going to try to make it a weekly offering. We'll see what sticks here, but we just wanted to have a whether that's a recap of what's happened with the Twins over the last week. Maybe that's a gripe line where fans can kind of talk about some of the gripes they have that are Twins related or just life related. We're here to listen to you, but we'll have some fun and we'll definitely talk a lot of good ball. So we hope that you can join us on Sunday evenings, and we will let you know the time going forward. Greg, anything else you wanted to say?
I believe that's starting this weekend. I don't know if you mentioned that, but we're going to be rolling that out this weekend. Sometimes it'll be Lou and I. Sometimes it'll be some other folks. Yeah. Comrade Cody, I'm sure, will show up.
We hope so. That'd be great.
If we can ever get him to show back up on one of our podcasts, I'm sure that he'll also show up on a weekend. But other Twins Daily contributors are going to be jumping in on that too. We're super excited. It's going to be a fun project, and it'll be a little bit more regular than the Twins Off Daily. Obviously, Off Daily is going to keep doing our thing. But
yes.
An extra thing that Twins Daily is going to be putting out for you guys, the loyalist Twins fans who are still around after all of that.
And, a lot of the inspiration for this idea came from the live stream that we did during the trade deadline, which was super popular, and understandable that we're not probably going to be getting those sort of numbers on these right away. But we hope that we can grow it into something, or at least a fun thing that folks can look forward to on Sunday evenings, talking about some ball. Maybe you have the game of the week on in the background. You just want to hear some Twins talk. Please throw us on, join us. And we hope that you jump in and have some fun with it too. But on behalf of Mr. Gregory T. Masterson, Greg, last words, anything?
The NFL season's starting soon, and I just have to say, remember that time that the Rams beat the Vikings twice last year? Help!
I'm sorry, Greg. You're pulled over. You're being pulled over. I am taking this plane down with me, and we are not going to be talking about football, especially before football actually comes back. So real quick, Steve says, make Cody do the Pledge of Allegiance. Yes, that should be Cody.
That's his punishment when we get him to come back on.
Yeah,
exactly. Start with it before he can talk any Twins.
I imagine he's listening to this, but in the off chance that he's not, maybe we should just start the next episode, Greg, with you and me doing the Pledge of Allegiance just to see if Cody follows along. Steve, that's a good idea. Thank you so much for contributing on this episode, Steve. Friend of the show, Steve. Okay, well, thanks again, everybody, for joining us on the Twins Off Daily podcast. Please leave us a review, even if it's a bad one. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the show. But on behalf of Greg, I'm Sweet Lou Hennessy saying, stay sweet.
Pledge of Allegiance.